Right, everyone, we should be live. Let's make sure that's actually the case. Over on Rumble, of course, unpaused and repaused, as usual. Soleil333. So how much longer does the British royal family have left before the country's new citizens feel it doesn't represent them and demand it be removed? There are all sorts of people that are already anti-monarchist over in Britain. Then there are some people that are rabidly monarchist and they love the royal family. I don't think that they're ever going to get rid of them, though, because you got to understand it's a big tourist attraction. It brings a lot of money to the country. The amount that they spend on their palace residences and chauffeurs and stuff pales in comparison to the amount of money that they draw in when tourists go and eat overpriced food outside of Buckingham Palace. Yeah. So yeah, we've got a lot to cover today, and I didn't get to docket it quite yet because I had connection issues. I turned the Wi-Fi on and off, changed the adapter settings and so forth. I'm pretty sure that I managed to fix the problem. Pretty sure. Not fully sure, but it seems to be working right now. People are capable of seeing me, which is more than I can say for yesterday. It was a big problem. Turns out it might have been on my end as opposed to StreamYard's end. I'm not exactly 100% sure, so I'm going to be looking at the news. King Charles is having complications, actually, at the moment. Let's get to that. Actually, why is that not on the other tab? Just a moment. What am I doing here? And why? So you should be on the other side. That's very odd. Looks like the format has been yeah, I figured that I'd get raided by the idiots, but yeah, whatever. They've all got burner accounts. So let's docket these. But for some bizarre reason, huh? That's very strange. Okay. Yeah, StreamYard has slightly modified itself. It looks even different in incognito. I tried that trick, but it didn't work. So we've got King Charles. Then we got to talk about the UK again, because looks like they're going to try to ban ninja swords. It's not exactly sure what length qualifies as a sword in Great Britain, or not so Great Britain, depending on whether you'd agree with the decision-making of the government, by the way. They might be restarting nuclear tests as well. We'll have to docket that. Oh yeah, DJ Daniel, he got his first day on the job as a Secret Service agent. You remember that kid that the Democrats refused to clap for, the one that survived cancer, and now is an honorary Secret Service member? Yeah, they took him for a drive and let him even get close to the beast, which is more than most people can say. Normally, if you try to get to the beast, you end up getting tackled by the Secret Service. One tall order sticks large earthquakes earlier that have devastated almost the entire Southeast Asia region. Thousands feared dead. Oh, goodness. That could be magnitude 7.7 in the middle of Burma. Jeez. Yeah, that's going to cause some damage in that part of the world. That was only a few hours ago, I guess. Wow. Well, that's some devastation. Guess we can talk about that at the end as well. First, though, let's get to King Charles. King Charles hospitalized after suffering cancer treatment side effects. He required a short period of observation in hospital on Thursday. Well, he's dying. He's old. He's dying. And I like how what they a source described it as a most minor bump in a road that is very much heading in the right direction. Isn't that proverbially British? Jeez. It's a mild bump in the road. No biggie, no problem. As the Americans say, splendid. You know. Yeah. Hopefully, the next person in line, I think he's a relatively sane dude, isn't he? What's his name? He's, I think he's 77. I believe. Yeah, I thought I have 75 or 77, something like that. Williams next in line, I guess. Yeah, isn't he the sane one, basically? So I guess the British proper foot. Yeah. Helio sending. Have you seen the masterpiece Freddy Got Fingered? No, never even heard of it, actually. I probably should have. Yeah. There was one weird article on Radar that claimed that he was listening to psychedelic rock and he was on all sorts of drugs to and cannabis and stuff to help with the pain. I can kind of believe that actually. 579 AK for comment on YouTube Live yesterday. Thank you. Yeah, yesterday there were some connection issues, and the day before that as well. Like on the quartercast, there were connection issues, significant ones. Bog Daddy, would you like some sausage? Yeah. Speaking of the UK, we've got to talk about Keir Starmer's I'm assuming I'm pronouncing that correctly. Keir Starmer confirmed ninja swords will be banned by this summer. When we promise action, we take it. Because, of course, katanas are the weapon of choice of the street gangs that are over there. Now, I think it's machetes. I noticed that machetes aren't banned there probably because people need them to clear brush and things like that. Some of the laws in the UK make absolutely no sense. Like, you have to be 18 and show ID in order to buy butter knives over there. This is not an exaggeration. When I first saw it, I figured it was like, show the in-store prices, for Canada. And they'll go up to Nunavut where, you have to get everything flown in by cargo plane as the roads become impassable. And so naturally the prices are quite a bit higher. Or, the far north of some godforsaken, go up to Churchill or something like that. I figured it was that's a joke. But in this case, it's not a joke. No, it's actually real. They, the police, most of them don't even, unless there's a riot situation or something, a poll tax riot, they don't even really carry weapons, at least not lethal ones. Jaded, you have to be 18 and show an ID to buy a Sharpie here in the USA. I'm not aware of this. Taco Woman, Sandy Ravage, do you think that Trump should let Waltz go? It appears that he was Goldberg's source while serving on the House Intel Committee. They both deny knowing each other despite having each other's numbers. Well, it wouldn't be odd for someone in public office to have the number of a reporter. That would actually be sensible. I'm not sure exactly how the leak happened. Shouldn't have, but just a second here. We're on. Sticks, I don't mean to annoy you or anyone. The GOP seems to be asleep at the wheel. Yeah, I know. Yeah, we've got multiple losses, actually, for the Republican Party recently. They're not doing too well. At the top-down level, they're doing fine, acting more like Democrats in that fashion. But the Democrats are getting out the vote more in the special elections, but this is something that has happened over and over again, actually, within U.S. elections. I guess kids were sniffing them. Yeah, that's a bunch of bullshit. Kids have been huffing. They can buy airplane glue without an ID. Sticks, please read my super chat. I shall. Good news. Elon Musk is going to Wisconsin to campaign for Wisconsin Supreme Court race for Brad Schimmel. We badly need as much coverage. Can you please make a video before April 1st? Yes, I'll put that on here. Just a second. Let me add that to the docket. Schimmel, Wisconsin. I'll just leave it at that for now because I got to get to today's news. 579 AK. Oh, I already read that one. Sorry, I just accidentally skipped your super chat, Ruron. One tall order. The UK government psyop to ban knives. They want to convince the public that a Rwandan immigrant stabbed white toddlers, not because he hated the people and was obsessed with serial killers, but because he was easily able to buy a knife off Amazon. Sad most of the UK public is falling for it. Yeah, the public is easily fooled sometimes, and not just in the UK. Yeah, you're going to ban ninja swords. Aren't there a bunch of other bladed weapons? I prefer cutlasses myself. Good old cutlass or saber or something like that. Maybe a long sword. The other day, people got pissed at me. There are some sword purists out there. There are some sword purists that kept saying long sword, flamberge, and so forth. I thought that was funny. fucking alcohol in it. Vice President Vance. I used to huff paint thinner in high school. God, I was dumb. Yeah. Yeah, I remember back when I was younger, my mom warning me about turning the whipped cream bottle up and then, huffing it and stuff like that. I was smart enough not to do that. But the whole inhalant thing was kind of always a nothing burger because most people know better than to do that sort of thing. Sort of like the little red pills scare in the 50s and with airplane glue. I think my grandfather bragged about having done that on one occasion, actually. Ecstasy in the 90s, certainly crack. The idea that the local friendly crack dealer was going to give your kid free rocks in order to get them hooked. How they're going to continue paying for the crack, because that's the whole point, remains unknown. I remember Mr. Pluta was our driver's ed teacher, and he would talk about how Wavy Gravy, the clown from that went to the venue for, what was it, the Grateful Dead, I think, lived in Shrewsbury in Vermont, like just outside of Rutland, and used to give out LSD tabs to people and stuff like that. Yeah, oh shit, I can't have a katana. Well, a broadsword looks pretty good this time of year. A fridge too far. Second-term Trump is thus far a disaster. Disagreed. I think it's a mostly positive adventure we're taking. Hopefully it remains the case. Hopefully it's actually the case. So Keir Starmer is, you're nuts. It's not going to drive crime down. This is just another incremental step in trying to disarm the people of Britain, actually. Isn't there some provision from the medieval era that said that Britons would never be deprived of their sword or something like that? I don't know. Mike Lee introduces bill to abolish the TSA. This is going nowhere, by the way. The Utah senator has long called for the elimination of the federal agency, calling it invasive to travelers' privacy. See, here's the problem. Let's say that you privatize airport security. Has the privacy aspect actually gone away? No. You've simply shifted it to private contractors who will do the exact same thing and still be paid for by taxpayer money. Security and things like that, we're going to be paying for it anyway in any non-public venue. In any non-private venue. It's automatic. Because, while I don't worry about getting on a plane and somebody having, explosives in their shoes or anything like that, and even if there were no checkpoints, I still wouldn't worry about that because most people aren't insane, the security ain't going anywhere. One tall order from Rumble yesterday, as you didn't see it. I find it very funny that the MS-13 leader was arrested in Woodbridge, Virginia, as the local colloquialism for Woodbridge is Hoodbridge. Why am I not surprised? Good place to sell drugs. Lee, along with Senator Tommy Tuberville, introduced the Abolish the TSA Act on Thursday, which would dissolve the TSA and establish a separate Office of Aviation Security Oversight to manage airport security. The office would operate completely under the Federal Aviation Administration and transfer security activities and equipment to private companies instead. Again, the problem is that we're still going to be paying for it. Abolishing the TSA, yeah, that's fine. I would prefer reforming it in that sense, since it's still going to be there. We can expedite the security process. It should not be necessary to take the laptop out of the bag. Hey, I have to comb this with a bomb-sniffing device, even though the scanner didn't see anything that could be explosive. The prohibition on my Bovrite. One of these bad boys got confiscated by the TSA as it was classed as a liquid. It's actually a gelatin. I suppose they thought that it was a plastic explosive. Well, just have me open it up and eat a scoop of it right in front of you. That's all you gotta do. Yeah, I'm gonna eat the plastic explosives. Makes a lot of sense. Ruron, whom do you think will head the UN? Frankly, I'd like to see the US walking away from the organization, yet I am curious of your thoughts on it. I don't know who's going to be heading the UN, nor do I really care. The UN is the most ineffectual group, arguably, that's ever been incepted by man. The UN turns a blind eye to genocide all the time. A single country can stop it from basically doing anything. And the things that it does do, it doesn't do well. You look at the Rwandan genocide or the crisis in Darfur, for example. They can set up refugee camps, but they're not allowed to use their guns under most circumstances. Scarfy, when the alternative is being called racist, Brits will give up on anything. Guns before butter. Johnny Azul, have you seen the footage of Pikachu at the protests in Turkey? Yes, I did see that. That was pretty funny. Opinionated junkie, don't let centrists equate leftist lunatics with us. Anyways, we'll get to our sponsors really quickly now that people have sort of filed in, and then we'll get to the rest of the news. I guess I'm going to have to cover the earthquakes. I haven't looked deeply into that, but the destruction looks significant. It was in the middle of Myanmar, actually. We have cultivated-mind.com, where you can get mushroom pills. They're good for you and shit. I take them every morning. Actually, I forgot to take my mushroom pill this morning. Shit. Well, yeah. In my anecdotal opinion, they boost energy, yes, and improve focus as well. That's why I'm so verbose. I'm taking mushrooms. Not the psychedelic kind, though. We also have pumpkinfirecrafts.us. You can get bookmarks, keychains, belt chains, Ouroboros engraved spoons, which I've still got several of to give out as gifts. I'm going to do that at some point in the coming days, and much, much more. BiltongUSA.com. Anton can hook you up with some of that sweet, sweet meat. And there's like 20 varieties, I think, now. He's definitely expanded, and all of them are really, really good. Although I'm partial to the cabanasi and the bison, of course. And you can take that wagyu, you can put it in ramen with some scallions and shit, and it's really, really good. I've tried it before. Now I think they've got peri-peri wagyu, so it's a mildly spicy wagyu, which is great. Also got mugs and Stick, Sex, and Hammer shirts and tumblers available. It's got a physical store in Roanoke, Texas as well. And use code STICKS for 10% off site-wide. HeritageHeirloomSeedCompany.com. You can get a seed survival bucket. Jumpstart your spring. It's got pretty much a little bit of everything. You could probably plant a couple of acres with the number of seeds that they supply in the bucket. And you can also get Stick, Sex, and Hammer soaps. They've got others available, but I'm partial to the two that we design. Blue bar is cedar, clove, and blueberry, and the pink bar is lavender marjoram, sort of a his and hers. Webster'sWares.com/sticks-wares, where you can get blades and you can cut your friends. And those are very sharp. Be very, very careful. Again, I learned that on a live stream many, many months ago by accident. It was a sharp time. We've got beanies. It's an homage to Tim Pool, of course. And so I generally wear a tricorn, but sometime maybe I'll come on a stream in a beanie. That'd be funny. My hair poking out on the sides. Then I'd think I'd look even more like Asmongold, I suppose. Or rather, he looks like me. We've also got metal straws available. You can reuse them infinitely, so you only need to ever buy one straw as opposed to buying pack after pack of the plastic shit. And finally, jamandbean.com. That is jamnbean.com. You can get the official Clank blend, which I sniff every day. Yes, indeed. Also, lots of tea available. Let me show you one of them for anyone who hasn't seen it. The Yunnan Jig. That's, I think, my favorite. The Yunnan Jig. Either that or the Healer tea, although they've all been good so far. Wasted. Good morning from the grave. Good morning to you as well. Let's see. I don't want to miss any super chats. That's always a bad decision. Brock Sampson. Why the hell is Trump hating Massey and supporting Graham? Don't we have enough Israel First members in his admin? This is not the only complaint I have of Trump. He's not America First, he's Israel First. I do not like that he's supporting Graham. I can understand why he and Massey spar some. I think that most of that is just a little bit of tit for tat. But yeah, I do believe that Trump is America First. But I'm not a fan of Lindsey Graham. Opinionated Junkie in Maryland, a proposed 4-Hour Kids Act aims to impose a 2-cent per ounce tax on sugary drinks, syrups, and powders. Gotta love tax increases. LMAO. Yeah, whenever they talk about it's for the children, you can be sure that it's bullshit. This is not going to dissuade. This is not going to dissuade kids from drinking sugary things. Educating parents on, hey, You do realize that fruit juice that you just bought has 50 grams of sugar per serving and isn't even real juice. I think that labeling laws need to be changed a little bit more. What we need is more education and access to information, number one. And number two, we need to try to get parents more involved, parents and so forth, because the government can't do it. Nick C. Lindsey Graham is a perfect example of a fair-weathered friend. Exactly. Lindsey Graham is a useful idiot, which means he's occasionally useful, but he's still an idiot. Oscar Gonzalez, why is too much sugar bad? Because it'll give you diabetes and rot your teeth, and ultimately could kill you, actually. Fall into a diabetic coma or something like that. One tall order. Baltimore already has a horrendous tax on soft drinks. When I worked in Baltimore, a Monster Energy was more than $4 at Royal Farms. Doesn't affect me because I don't drink sugary beverages. I mean, I like this. They've retooled the Red Bull Zero. I actually now like it more than the regular sugar-free. They use monk fruit extract in it. Gives it an interesting little tang. I like it. It's got a smooth, slightly tangy flavor. No sugar. I mean, it's got chemicals in there that probably will kill me, but we're on sticks. The reason he chose Graham is there really isn't any candidate that is viable to win in South Carolina. I know that. While I don't support Lindsey, Massey has worked against President Trump more than Graham. Yeah, it's, you know. Oh, I've had Monster Zero, Nick. Yeah, I've had that before. I'm a fan. So, yeah. Mike Lee wants to abolish the TSA. Again, good idea on paper, but in practice, it's not really going to change much of anything. Now to science news. Calls to restart nuclear weapons tests stir dismay and debate among scientists. A U.S. return to underground detonations would have wide-ranging implications. When the countdown hit zero on September 23rd, 1992, the desert surface puffed up into the air as if a giant balloon had inflated it from below. Kinda did, you know? It wasn't a balloon. Scientists had exploded a nuclear device hundreds of meters below the Nevada desert, equivalent to thousands of tons of TNT. The ensuing fireball reached pressures and temperatures well beyond those in Earth's core. Within milliseconds of the detonation, shock waves rammed outward. The rock melted, vaporized, and fractured, leaving behind a cavity oozing with liquid radioactive rock that puddled on the cavity's floor. That sounds hardcore, man. I want to see it. As the temperature and pressure abated, rocks collapsed into the cavity. The desert surface slumped, forming a substance crater about 3 meters deep and wider than the length of a football field. Unknown to the scientists working on this test, named Divider, it would be the end of the line, soon after the United States halted nuclear testing. Yes, back in the 90s, nuclear testing effectively ended. I think 94 was the last test, if I remember correctly. Not from the U.S., but I think it was India, if I remember correctly. They've got the, what's it called, the Shiva missile. I'm conflicted about this. On the one hand, going back to nuclear testing could allow us to develop better weapons, thus forming a better deterrent, because right now Russia has a much larger stockpile. We're not sure how big China's is, and their payloads are larger. Ours are more accurate, but they're aging. And so we probably need to work on better missile tech as well, better delivery systems for some of these weapons. And of course, some of them are in the sub-megaton range. Many of them are a few hundred kilotons. That'll do massive damage to an area. It's still a nuclear weapon. But we should be testing... Mark Carney cutting off this Canada, which is crazy. Yeah, I made a video about that this morning. But yeah, India and Pakistan have a small number of weapons. North Korea, of course, has basic atomic weapons. Israel has an unknown stockpile using nuclear triggers from nuclear triggers. Sorry, I don't want to become George W. Stolen from the United States, according to an '84 Pentagon report that was declassed under Trump his last time around. And then you've got the U.S., Russia, UK, and France. South Africa and Brazil had nuclear programs, but they scrapped them. Cultivated mind, improve focus, boost energy and endurance, balance hormones, and fix your gut biome. Also, high doses of cordyceps forces oxygen into your blood and improves libido. Cultivated-mind.com. I was not aware of that. I don't have any problems with that, so I'm using it to energy boost. Wasted, Sticks, you done goofed, you forgot the peg leg and hook ham. Yeah, if I ever get into a tragic accident, I guarantee I'm going to use a wooden peg leg. I'm going to complete the look even further. I'm trans pirate. Opinionated junkie. Executive orders are good, but we need congressional laws passed. Those are harder to undo, unlike EOs. True. I think that it's a mixed bag on nukes. If we fall behind, then we lack deterrence. If we don't, I mean, the only way to win the grand chess game was never to play it in the first place, but that genie was out of the bottle in the 1940s. In the early U.S. nuclear program, the idea was to data share with the Russians and say, look, we got these great weapons here. And then Stalin chuckled because he was already building his own nuclear program. And then you have the Rosenbergs, then you have the development of multi-stage weapons and the neutron bomb and crazy stuff like that. And the rest is history. Lemon curd. Buck, I'm mostly lurking. I got too much stuff going on. I got a shit ton of stuff going on myself. Zeta Reticulous. I'm here because Steven Crowder sucks. I don't dislike Steven Crowder myself. I thought that one where he crashed Cenk Uyghur's panel that one time, I thought that was hysterical. Old Jarhead, the need for upgrading is for reliability. Yes, our missiles need to be more stealthy and go faster, and we should probably be working on weapons that are much smaller, so, you know, battlefield nukes, basically. We had the Davy Crockett at one point, but it was deemed too dangerous to deploy. And then larger weapons, the largest U.S. weapon, I believe, is 3 megatons. The largest Russian weapon is 30 megatons, and I believe that the Chinese weapon is around 15, if I remember correctly. Oh, by the way, there's a funny, it's not a nuclear missile, it's just a standard munition, but North Korea has a missile called the No-Dong missile, and it's hysterical. Scott Neubarger. Estimates of Israel's stockpile range between 90 and 400 nuclear weapons. Yeah, but because of strategic ambiguity, nobody's really sure. Wilmani, U.S. has a jet called the Ass Clapper. Interesting. Helmetech. Apart from Lake Champlain, there is no water in New England. DJ Daniel, honorary Secret Service agent DJ Daniel tours training facility, meets top officials. DJ Daniel experienced action-packed day at Secret Service Training Center. Now, he's not actually a full-on Secret Service member. He's an honorary member. But come on, kid beats cancer. He got invited there for a reason. And the Republicans, especially Trump, I think really want to give him a nice big reward. Because the Democrats, they fucked up so royally. By not clapping for somebody who beat cancer, a little kid. Are you nuts? The optics of that were probably one of the most poor things that I've ever seen. A handful of Democrats clapped for him. They didn't exactly give him a standing ovation. Someone like, yeah, and that was it. It's like, you know, you should be happy. This kid was supposed to die within, 5 or 6 months. And now years later is in remission. Fireburn, did Styx talk about stupid England already? Yeah, twice, with the ban on ninja swords, which is completely ridiculous. And also with the fact that King Charles may be, he's pretty close to death, I think. Daniel was at James J. Rowley Training Center in Beltsville, Maryland, alongside Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem on March 19th, according to a post on X. So this was a little while ago, but for some reason only recently actually reported on. I was not aware of this fact, but would have covered it then. We're here today at the Special Agent graduating ceremony, the class of 445, with DJ, who is a Secret Service agent, Noam said in the social media video, and also Director Curran. That's right, and our newest agent, Curran chimed in. So he got to do patrols, he got to go to the shooting range, he got to get right up next to the president's Beastmobile, the semi-invulnerable one that could probably take a cruise missile and survive. That thing is insane if you look at its specs, by the way. Got to get driven around by a Secret Service agent at massive speed and all sorts of stuff like that, which is pretty cool. And so congrats to him. I mean, he deserves it. You know, you gave him one of the best gifts he could possibly receive. Tigers are my totem. Can I get a shout out for the Via Media, available wherever you hear digital music and on this account as well? Consider that a shout out. Mike L., have you heard of the Castle Bravo test? Yes. They thought that it was going to be a lot smaller an explosion than it was. Whoops, they miscalculated. And then they accidentally irradiated the whole atoll, killing, if I remember correctly, several fishermen, and forcing the evacuation of the whole island's population nearby. Jeremy Briggs, remember when Trump dropped the mother of all bombs? Yes. One hell of an explosion. The Russians have something comparable called the father of all bombs. It's actually, Russia has a tendency to take an idea and then pump it full of steroids, making it perhaps less practicable, but making it more impressive. And it's sort of like optical more than anything else. Super Reefer Man, having fun? Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, it's almost, it's getting up towards April Fool's Day. What am I going to do for April Fool's Day? I don't know. Just not make any videos and let rumors spread or something like that. Patient dies from rabies after organ transplant from infected donor. Patient received the organ in Ohio and died in Michigan, health officials confirm. So that's rather upsetting. Can you imagine? You go in for an organ transplant, you're like, wow, I'm actually going to survive. But then you die of something far more terrifying. I mean, if somebody's got rabies, literally, I think the protocol is basically just knock them out or euthanize them at that point because it's so painful. I mean, when your brain is being scrambled and misfiring, getting all melted down like a computer in a fire pit, that can't possibly be pleasant. Slowly lose a sense of who you are, and all your memories start going to shit, and you probably see weird things and hallucinate, and ugh. Have you ever seen a rabies patient? It gets to the point where they can't even swallow water. They can't swallow liquids because of the gag reflex. If you blow on them, they'll recoil like that. They've got aerophobia. They can become violent. Although in humans, it's more uncommon for them to become violent. It's more common that the other symptoms show. It must be rather painful. Nick, once the symptoms show, there's nothing you can do. Yeah. I mean, there have been a very small number of cases where people have survived rabies. It's like maybe a dozen cases in human history or something like that. I remember when I was a kid, I couldn't believe that somebody had survived rabies. There was this girl, and she got rabies, and they're like, you know, she's dead. And they tried experimental treatments, and she did manage to survive, but the survival rate is like 0.001% or something like that. Weeaboo Crusher. Rabies is literally a zombie virus. Yeah. Yeah. Especially with fierce rabies. An animal with that stage of rabies, assuming it lives long enough to progress that far and isn't just spasming out on the ground. Always upsetting to see animals with rabies too. Assuming that it gets to that state, it'll attack literally anything that moves. Animate or inanimate, by the way. Our cats have been vaccinated for rabies. Anthony Perry, is this Asmongold? No, I'm his evil twin, Asmon Silver. You can call me Long John, though. Last beacon, you're gonna have to pay. Last beacon, come on, dude. I'm gonna mute you for 5 minutes. Take it easy, my man. Wakandan rabies didn't do nothing. Zeta Reticulus. Lyme disease is more fun than rabies. I don't think that one would be fun either. So yeah, I mean, this has only happened a handful of times. I mean, they screen organs, but they don't typically screen for rabies because what's the likelihood that the dead person had rabies? Not very high. It might depend on the organ too. Like rabies spreads through neural matter, so brain, spinal tissue, and saliva and things like that. It can spread through blood and things like that, but I would assume to some degree it would probably depend on the organ and the stage to which the virus had progressed before the person died. Anaho, nobody should send sticks or Anton money until last beacon is permaban. I don't generally do permabanning. A pound of flour to make 60 G's of RSO. I don't even know what that refers to, actually. Yeah, I'm not going to permaban him, but I will mute him when he does that. Sippet's chaos magic's at work. Thoughts on using eye patches? It'd be funny to put 2 of them on at the same time so it's effectively you're blind. And then just wander around like that outside and pretend to be like Blind Pew. By the way, Christopher Lee did an excellent Blind Pew. He does excellent in every role, though. Actually, with the Treasure Island, the one with Christian Bale and with Charlton Heston. Lame dad joke of the morning. If you have COVID-19 and Lyme disease, can you just call it Corona with Lyme? Lol. Zeta Reticulus. Sticks, how's the garden? Starting to sprout up. The chamomile's doing well. I'll probably try to clear it out. There's some other more important things to do right now, and it's certainly not planting time yet. Just missing a musket. Where is me musket? One tall order. Maryland in a nutshell. It's 29 degrees yesterday. Tomorrow it will be 84. Schizoid temperatures. Yeah, we have that. We have that here too. In fact, it can fluctuate wildly within a single day. It'll be stormy and cool in the morning, and then the sun comes out, burns it all off, everything gets dried out, and all of a sudden the temperature shoots up by 30 degrees over the course of a few hours. And then it gets all like foggy and steamy and really, really humid. Catherine Moser just had surgery for a detached retina. I could use an eye patch. Let's look into these Asia quakes. Let's see what the damage is. An earthquake with a 7.7 magnitude, that's very large by the way, has rocked Southeast Asia on Friday according to the USGS. USGS is reporting the epicenter of the quake was in Mandalay, Myanmar, but at least 3 people were killed and 68 others were injured when a building that was under construction collapsed in Bangkok as the earthquake struck in the region on Friday. according to Thailand's National Institute of Emergency Medicine, which said there was an unknown number of people still trapped in the rubble, so the death toll will rise. The extent of the damage in Mandalay, the second largest city in Myanmar, is largely unknown this morning due to it being under very tight state control. However, it is thought that the damage could be extensive since this earthquake is stronger than many other historic quakes, including the Northridge earthquake that affected the LA area of California on January 7, 1994, which is remembered as one of the most destructive and deadly in California history. Bangkok is approximately 600 miles away from Mandalay and suffered notable damage as well as collapsed buildings. Neem said there were approximately 320 construction workers on site when the building in Bangkok collapsed. 70 people are currently missing, according to a statement published on social media. Approximately 20 workers are still trapped in the elevator shaft, with the number of deaths expected to climb. That would be absolutely fucking terrifying. Imagine being trapped in an elevator shaft with a bunch of other people under feet of rubble. That's terrifying. I think I'd rather just die. Of course, part of that is because I'm claustrophobic, so. Myanmar's ruling junta has declared, is it junta or junta? I've heard it pronounced both ways. Has declared a state of emergency in 6 regions: Saigon, Mandalay, Magway, northeastern Shan State, Nai Pyi and Bago, after the earthquake struck the country, followed by a series of aftershocks. Yeah, and construction quality in Southeast Asia, in certain areas of these cities, is not particularly good. It's fairly slipshod. You see a lot of decay and a lot of... It's not disjunta. Yeah. Fireburn. I don't like elevator. Yeah. Anytime I'm in an elevator, or in a high rise or anything like that, I always am like, the building could fall down on my head at any given time. Here it's not a problem. Earthquakes tend not to harm single-story wooden buildings. They tend to sway with it fairly easily. It's brick that's the worst. What is being built with in this part of the world? Brick, mostly. It's gent. I don't know. Ruron, Sticks, have a great day. Thank you so much for reading and responding to my chats. Genuinely. You're very welcome. I feel like I'm going to sneeze. That's bad. One tall order. It will be interesting to see if the Myanmar rebels use the chaos to make gains against the gent or junta or junta or however the hell you pronounce it. Punta is my sister's word. Oh, God. Yeah. I mean, in the nicer areas of Southeast Asia, the construction quality is going to be better. But in areas that are lower class, there's a lot of, like, tin roofs and still, like, old brick that's kind of crumbling apart and stuff like that. Anthony Way, Sticks, do you like the Muppets Treasure Island? That's my second favorite. Junta. Okay. Brock Sampson. I am neither pro nor anti-Israel or Palestine. I don't have any opinion because I don't live there. Sir Thomas Drake. I think it's pronounced Junta. Yeah, nobody can agree on how it's pronounced. Sort of like, what's his name? And nobody knows. You remember the dude that ran Chile? Leftists hate him and he helicoptered the commies? Which one was that? God damn, I'm pulling of Joe Biden. In Spanish, it's pronounced Gunta. Yeah, whether it's Pinochet or Pinochet is completely up for debate because it was never confirmed by him himself which way it was pronounced. Perrin. Perrins are cool birds. Ha ha ha, see what I did there? Sir Thomas Drake. Pinochet. Yeah, getting old. Poison in the waters. It's penis shit. Yeah. Shay, she, Pino, Peno. I don't know. No hard R. I usually say Pinochet, but Pinochet is also Junta, says Spectergeist. Who knew that the live stream would devolve into linguistics? Who could have seen that coming on this particular channel? Let's see. Is there any breaking news? Anything like that? Yeah. See, because of my time slot, RCP hasn't usually updated its... Oh, for the love of God. Usually hasn't updated its news at this time in the day. Yeah, over 100 people are reported dead so far. At least 144 at last count. That'll rise, probably considerably. Oh, Trump is petitioning the Supreme Court to overturn Boasberg with the Alien Enemies Act. He'll probably prevail on this one because the act was never repealed. Technically speaking, even though it's from the late 1700s, it is still very much in effect until it is duly repealed. But it never was. You can consider it a blue law all you want, but even blue laws can actually be effectual. It's just, it's not common that they're used. But this is a little bit different from, like, for instance, in Vermont, there's an old law that says you can't paint a horse. And that was because of, at the time, when it was incepted, it was because of so-called Native Americans painting their horses, like, you know, for war and stuff like that. So at the time, it made sense. If you were to paint a horse right now, is it illegal? Technically, yeah, it is illegal. If you did it, would you be prosecuted for doing so? Not unless they decided it was animal abuse. So the original law would not be affected. Although it'd be funny to see be funny to see a lawyer try to argue the case of prosecutor. Ah, this I support. Utah becomes the first state to ban fluoride in public drinking water. All right, I like that one. That's going in the docket for tomorrow. That's for friggin' sure. Congratulations to the state of Utah. Let's see. Is there anything else on here? Panama Canal port sale has been put on hold by Chinese regulators. Interesting. So if the United States wants to reassert dominance in the area, of course, we're being tyrannical. But if China does it, oh, that's perfectly fine now, isn't it? Ray Atkinson, have you ever gone to the Pirate House, Savannah, Georgia, supposed to be the house that Treasure Island is based? No, I've never been in Savannah. I've been strongly recommended to go there, though. I hear that it's nice. One tall order. Quake footage from China of people being crushed by hundreds of gallons of water thrown from a rooftop skyscraper pool. Must have been 20 to 30 people splattered. The death toll from this will be high. Jeez, yeah. Wow. Must have been rocking the building pretty well. Jaded. We built the canal. It's ours. Yeah, it was given away by Bill Clinton, unfortunately. We still have some presence there, but China now has more influence over a canal that we expended thousands of lives creating in the first place. And then we expanded on our own budget. Yeah. Like I said, though, with the Panama Canal, I believe that we should reassert dominance there. We should insist that the Chinese influence there leave, and that we gain access for military purposes mainly, to prevent piracy and embargoes and stuff. We gain a presence in that. In return, we expand the canal even further. And our vessels don't get taxed, or don't get taxed as much as other vessels. In return, we expand the canal even further because we need to move even more tonnage now. The ships are getting bigger and more stable, and there's more demand for the use of the canal, so it needs to grow even more. And we're capable of doing that. And also, we'll pay off Panama's national debt. We'll pay it off lock, stock, and barrel. We'll absorb their debt so that they can start from a zero balance. No. Carter kind of sort of did, but the United States still we had all sorts of benefits at the Panama Canal until Bill Clinton. Jimmy Carter got the ball rolling. It was Bill Clinton who finally snuffed out U.S. influence in the area. And the second that we leave, of course, China moves in. That was sort of predictable. And it was the Chinese influence there and the fact that the Panama Canal was being expanded even further that was what caused me to believe, and I was correct, that the Nicaragua Canal plan would eventually fall out. Cam2425IA. Sticks like to tweet from me yesterday. My life is complete. Lol. Fireburn, what's in that jar? White powder. Sus. I got a jar of dirt. I got a jar of dirt. Guess what's inside it? It's just a piratical reference. I thought it was funny. Yep, Clinton also signed NAFTA. Trump reformed it with the USMC. USMCA. No, it wasn't the United States Marine Corps that ended NAFTA. Clinton is one of the most overrated presidents. People look back on that time and they say, okay, the economy was generally going well, and, the Cold War has petered out and stuff like that. So they give it, and you have the dot-com bubble and all sorts of cool Pokemon. People give him credit for, in many cases, policies that were implemented before his presidency. And then they don't give him credit for helping the housing bubble to come up alongside like all the other problems that plagued the Obama administration, actually. The ticking time bomb was lit by Bill Clinton back in the 1990s with some of the housing policies and banking policies, especially related to lending. That's not salt, that's sand. That's specifically sand for fish tanks, actually. For some reason, there was a bunch of it out there. We don't even have fish, so I'm not sure why. Yes, Carter kind of sort of sold it for $1, but there were other components to the deal. Clinton effectively said, well, it's just totally yours now. Do whatever you want. Also, Clinton gave nuclear materials to the North Koreans with a pinky promise from them, with their, fingers crossed behind their back, of course, that they wouldn't use it to develop a weapons program. All we want to do is help electrify your country. We want to make sure that your people got power. Well, the people didn't really benefit, but their military capabilities certainly did. King of Biltong just released U.S. Wagyu Peri Peri Biltong. Great Wagyu flavor and some mild heat. Almost 50% protein and packed with B12, creatine, iron, zinc, and much more. Go to BiltongUSA.com. Code STICKS for 10% off. We stream every Friday at 5:30 p.m. Eastern and Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern. We do some light banter while cooking live. Join in the fun by following our channel, rumble.com/c/eat@Anton's. Fun stuff. I know that it's Wagyu. Yeah, Drennan, most of North Korea doesn't have electricity at all. It's not surprising they have power outages because they're using their nuclear capabilities mainly for weaponized purposes. It's like the original testing site that they had dug out, they collapsed it with their last test, and it had an unusually high yield, and they claimed that they had achieved a boosted weapon. I highly doubt that. I have a feeling that they simply strapped several of their original bombs together to make it appear as though they had that. Again, kind of a nuclear ambiguity strategy of sorts. Lockheed Martin Clinton scandal. Nobody remembers. No, I don't actually. Basically, everything Clinton did was a scandal, though. That's the whole point. People remember him fondly because of the period of time in which he, by happenstance, happened to be president. He didn't have to do anything. He just had to sit there and wait, and the things that he did do generally were failures. NAFTA was a failure. North Korea, he failed on that. We almost had a World War III over Yugoslavia. There was an incident, and I can't remember the general's name. It was a general that served, if I remember correctly, under Obama in the end. Had ordered his men to enter an airport that was being held by Russian troops, actually. And a lower field commander said, no, we're not going to be doing that. That's a bad idea. We're not going to go into the airport. Had they done so, we could have ended up with World War III. There would have been a nuclear conflict, potentially. Copium poppies. You should get an aquarium. The bigger it is, the easier it is to take care of. Yeah, but I don't know where I would put it. I like aquariums, but I don't really want to have to. It's sort of like having a swimming pool. I like swimming pools. Do I want to have to balance the chlorine and scoop out the leaves and cover it during the winter and all? No, it's too much work. I mean, for the amount that you're going to pay to actually install it, it's too much work to bother maintaining. Yes, Fireburn, he refused orders. Can't remember the name of, I believe it was a major who refused the orders that he was given. I think, wasn't it? I can't remember the name of the general. There was I think he's like a lifelong liberal, and I think he ran for the presidency once. Does anyone know the name? Yeah, it was in Yugoslavia. He was in charge of a bunch of troops and ordered that the airport to be overrun. It was occupied by Russian forces. Clark, yes, Clark. That's the name of the general. One tall order. One of the greatest strengths of the U.S. military is lower leadership having the ability to make decisions like that on the fly rather than rigidly following orders from command. Oh, yeah, no, it wasn't Clark. It was Oliver North. Or was it? Was it Clark or North? Yeah, it was one of the two of them. Yeah, it was the one that I think ran for the presidency. Oh God, Rabbit, that's an old joke. It depends what your definition of it is. Godzilla. I know a chick that thought her fish was thirsty, so she poured a cup of milk in her aquarium and killed the fish. She was in 7th grade at the time. Oh my God. Oh, okay. Oliver North was Iran-Contra scandal. So it must have been Wesley Clark that I was thinking of. Yeah. I mean, think about it. We could have all died in nuclear holocaust. Rip, milkfish. And oh, Dave, what do you call a four-door Yugo? A Wago. You call it bursting into flames randomly. The Yugo is legendary. Back in the Soviet times, they were using like pressed cardboard components in a lot of parts of the car, and they weren't known for their reliability, and it took years to actually purchase one because there was a long waiting list. Communism does not work. 101. Marcelo, hey Sticks, thoughts on the current AI moral panic? Oh, and Keto Casino making 2 live streams making fun of you. I don't care about the latter. AI is not a problem. Right now, people are mainly using it to render historical pictures into Studio Ghibli. I'm not too worried about it. Sir Thomas Drake, Clinton got kickbacks from the cocaine cartels when he was Arkansas governor, sorry. He knew about the 2 teens murdered by cops who stumbled upon a smuggler, made to look like they got hit by a train. Yeah, Clinton was a mafioso president. Now he's a mafioso former president. And he probably can't even pee on his own without spraying it all over the place at this point. One tall order, men who go through airport turnstile sideways going to Bangkok multiple times because it's shaking from the earthquake. What the fuck? Anyways, I'm going to go offline. I will be back on Monday with more hard-hitting news and, more bants as well. I'm going to dock at the Panama story and the Utah fluoride story because those both seem interesting. I thank everyone when they send me news topics as well. It makes me very, very happy. So yeah, I'll be back on Monday. Keep in mind, I'll make videos tomorrow as usual. And check out my shit posting on Twitter sometime. I appear to have solved my internet problems. Oh, Marcel, I agree, but I mean, what are your thoughts on people freaking out over it, attacking people that use AI? You think it's going to stop soon? Eventually it'll be normalized. The same way as people were freaked out about the internet, now it's normalized. Freaked out about social media, it's normalized, and so on forth. And it'll be the same this time. That's about all. Peace out.